You don't want nobody going in your house taking your stuff. You don't want nobody taking your wife or your husband. You don't want nobody stealing your car. The old landmark was something that marked a piece of property back in the old days. And when they didn't have maps and diagrams such as we have today to measure things down to the inch, so what they would do is they would get a pile of rocks and they would build it up and they would set it there and they would know that that's where their property ended. But they would have to go out there periodically, pretty often, every other day, every day, in some cases, because when they didn't go that night, somebody would come and take the old landmark and they would move it 2 miles and they would steal 2 miles from it. And if you wasn't careful and you didn't know where your old landmark was, before you know it, you had 100 miles of 100 acres of land, and now you're running around with 75. How did that happen? Because you wasn't taking care of the old landmark. You didn't go out there and check on the old landmark. And it's interesting that the old landmark still exists in our time today, because there has been an old landmark that has been set for us. And it's unfortunately that we have allowed this old booger, the devil, to steal the old landmark. Because we're not praying no more like we should be. We're not fasting no more like we should be. So while we're not doing the things that we should be, he's constantly moving the old landmark and taking more space. The funny thing is that when Goliath started coming down the hill and started taunting the armies of the living God, he'd come but so far. And he did it for 40 days. And he'd come but so far. And then he did it for 39 days. And he'd come but so far. And he got to 20 days. But see, each day that he did it, he came a little bit closer till he got completely in the valley. And when he found that nobody was going to say nothing to him and nobody was going to challenge him, he started stepping onto their property. You got to understand that the devil will step onto your property, and when he steps onto your property, he'll start controlling a part of you that you won't even understand what happened. You'll look back and say, how did this happen to me? How did I lose my mind in this situation? Because you wasn't doing what the saints of old left us as an old landmark. Jesus Christ left the first old landmark. When he died on the cross, everybody that's saved got to go by the cross. You cannot, how you going to be saved and not go by the cross? And once you go by the cross, look, you cannot make a cake without having flour. And flour is the main ingredient. So when you get ready to become a Christian, you got to have faith, because faith is the main ingredient. Without faith, it is impossible to please Him. And some of us are coming to church and have not been by the cross. Some of us are coming to church and have no idea what faith is. Some of us are coming to church because it's been our family church. Some of us are coming to church because our mother and father go to the church, but we have yet not experienced the old landmark. Some of us have not even had an experience with God. When you get an experience with God, as Bishop said, not only do you believe in God, but you get this thing that's called a know-so. See, people can mess with your belief, but they can't mess with your know-so. When you got that know-so going on, I don't care who it is that's coming in your direction. They can't touch that know-so. There's something about knowing that you know that you know that you know that God is on the throne. There's something about knowing that you know that you know that you know that you know that God is a healer. There's something about knowing that you know that you know that you know that you know that God is a deliverer. There's something about knowing that the God that we serve, His eyes are in every place. There's something about knowing that the God that we serve, He loves me in spite of me. There's something about knowing that the God that we serve, He's concerned about me. There's something about knowing that the God that we serve, He's always got me on His mind. When He dressed Aaron as a god and He walked the earth and He stood tall, He had 12 stones on His chest. And one was over His heart, which meant that you were always on His mind. But the 12 stones, they represented the 12 tribes side. And then under his cloak, under his vesture, he still had 2 stones that he kept close to his heart, which was for you, because he loved you. He loved you that much. But when he went into the Holy of Holies and had to atone for their sins, to hook a veil to his leg, the reason he hooked the veil to his leg, a lot of people said they hooked it to his leg to see if he was dead. Now, when they hooked it to his leg, it was to see if he was dead. But guess what? While the bell was ringing, he was changing his clothes. Why was he changing his clothes? Because he couldn't go before God as God. Some of us need to put our pride aside. Some of us need to look at ourselves and say, I am a filthy rag when I go before God. Some of us think we all that when we get in God's presence. And this is why we don't get in God's presence. But you've got to know that you know that you know that you're still dealing with the old landmark. That old landmark is something else. Bishop Mason left the old landmark. If Bishop Mason could turn over in his grave right now, he'd be flipping and turning. The bishop, all the higher bishops, they set an old landmark for us. And the longer we come to church, the further we're getting away from what holiness is, from what sanctification is, from what being a saint is. Why? Because of people like Bishop Bordeaux, he's still holding up the old landmark, but people don't want to hear. They want to go to church and do their own thing. They want to come to church and sing R. Kelly. They want to listen to me. You ain't got to get no street song to sing in church. We serve a God that'll give you a new song. If you just spend some time with him. But you've got to go back to the old landmark. You've got to look back to where you've come from. You've got to say, listen, there's something wrong with this picture. Because years ago, there was crutches on the wall. There was wheelchairs on the wall. There was people that came in and grew left. There were people that came in and their eyes was open. And God said, greater things shall we do. What's wrong now? And he said, I'm the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. I don't think it's God. I think it's away from the old landmark. There's something that has happened to take us away from the old landmark. And every day we're getting further and further. Well, I'm not going to prayer because Jackson praying. I ain't going to prayer because Deacon Gooden praying. I ain't going to church because Chucky preaching. I thought it was about God. When you get about God, it don't matter who brings the word. The word is the word. Yes. Bring you back to the old landmark. That way you can serve time and spend time with God. When you spend time with God, guess what happens? God will spend time with you. Oh, yes. You got to know that when you come to communion, communion has a communion in the communion. And that communion is a communion with the Lord. While you're taking communion from the bishop, the Lord is right there standing by your side and he's handling your business. We've got to get back to doing things the old way. That song says, let's go back to the old time way. Yes. To the way we used to have church. And the way we used to pray. Most of us now, we don't even pray no more. We get down and we cite. We say the same thing over and over. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord, my soul to keep. That ain't no prayer. A prayer is having a conversation with God. It's not a monologue where you sit there and the whole conversation is you. It's all about you. Here I am again. That's why I call us the Lamb generation. Because all we want to talk about is us. Lord, what about me? Lord, what about me? They got a new car next door. What about me? I go to church every Sunday. They ain't thinking about you. What about me? We Lamb generation. Stop worrying about everybody else. Worry about yourself. Get back to the old landmark. One day you'll see that your suffering was worth it. Your suffering is not in vain. Your going through is not in vain. God loves you right where you are, in spite of your shortcomings, in spite of your short money. When the money gets funny and your chains get strained, say, thank you, Lord. When your lights go out and the bills can't be paid, you say, thank you, Lord. When you get a leak in your roof and it ain't leaking in all the rooms, you you say, thank you, Lord. You got to learn how to thank God in spite of. The Bible says, in everything, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you. They set a standard for us, a standard of holiness, and they kept that standard. And the closer we get to 2014, the further we get from the old landmark. And now if we were to trace back, we wouldn't even know where it was. We done got so far away. So how do we get back to holiness when we slipped away from holiness? How do we get back to sanctification when we're using the word but don't know the real definition? See, some of us have changed the definition of word. Holiness means one thing to God, and it means another thing to you. Holiness to you means that I could be holy and still smoke. I could be holy and still fornicate. I could be holy and still commit adultery. I could be holy and still cuss. I could be holy and still, and just say, hey, look, I ain't that saved. They better not step on my shoe. But when you really get saved, you hear me? When you really get saved, Jesus didn't say a mumbling word. He went to the cross and he got up on that cross. And when he got up there, the last thing he said was, it is done. And the first thing we heard him say was, didn't you know I had to be about my Father's business? Now I'm asking you, when you going to be about your Father's business? Don't you know that Eskimos, they trap wolves, they let them trap themselves. They get a knife and they stick it in blood. And they let the blood freeze on the knife. Then they stick the knife in the ground upside down. They put more blood on it till it becomes like a popsicle. Both sides of the knife are sharp as a razor blade. So he comes over there, he starts to lick the blood off the knife. And as he's licking the blood, eventually there's no more blood. And the knife cuts his tongue. And guess what he's doing now? He's feeding on himself. Some of us are dying because we in our own way. We feed on ourselves. We're licking our own blood. We're dying because we don't know how to get on our knees. We 2 days in prayer. You get on the floor and pray. Somebody running around here yelling in the prayer. Can't nobody else get to God because somebody else, they don't tell you, this is all about me. This is my prayer. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. And can't nobody else get to God. We've got to get back to God. You've got to give people time to pray, to get in the presence of God, and then close out the prayer together. We've got to go back to the old time way.